Okay, so it is 6:05. Reconvene from closed session. At this point in time, we have report out from closed session.
Yes, we do. Just one action taken that I'm reporting out. On a 5-0 vote with Trustee Padberg and Wright absent, the board approved a request for a 7-day unpaid time off with benefits to an Irvine Valley College classified employee. And that's all right.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the invocation led by Trustee Jemal, and then the Pledge of Allegiance by Trustee Lang.
Thank you. Well, last month, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College held commencement ceremonies for the class of 2014. My second one. Many of you have been here for more of those. As always, this was a joyous occasion and proud moment for the students and their families. You can see it in their faces, in their eyes, their aspirations. It's a reminder of how valuable our colleges are to everybody, and especially to our students and our graduates. And I just think I wanted to take a moment to say, how blessed I think we really are to have these districts or these colleges in our district right in our backyard. And that we just take a moment to reflect on the actions we take and decisions we make. To always do so with the purest of hearts and to never take for granted what we have here. Lastly, I want to take a brief moment to wish a speedy recovery to our friend and colleague Nancy Padberg. She is out, not here today with us due to an illness, and we hope to see our friend back here very soon. Thank you very much.
Please join me as we salute the flag to our great nation.
Just gone.
Flag.
Flag is.
There's a state flag.
Where? It's outside the building.
There's one of the. Oh, it really is missing.
There's a pole right out there with a flag on it.
Ready? Begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's probably still up on the commencement stage. Okay. Can we hold a meeting without a flag? I think we can. All right.
Where's Bill?
I don't know. Where'd he go? He was there a second ago. We still have a quorum. We'll keep going. All right. So then, let's see what turned off on me. So next we have public comments. And we have a few here. We'll start off with Doug Barr, and then on deck we have Margot Lovett.
Good evening. I'm honored to be here and humbled to be standing here tonight. I only hope I can do justice to my topic. I'm a member of the Saddleback College faculty, and I'm a counselor in the Counseling Service Division. I'm here to speak about the contract proposal of counselors' schedule changing, and I want to address the issue primarily from the perspective of counselors as teachers. And a little bit about me. This is not about me, and by the way, I believe I'm fairly representing my colleagues in counseling, but I'm speaking on behalf of myself, and I feel certain that they would all embrace what I'm saying. And a little bit about me to give the background that I come from. I'm about to enter my 40th year in the community college system as a professional. I had 3 years out of state. I started out as a classified employee. I became a classified manager. I became a dean. And I've been a proud member of the counseling faculty here at Saddleback College for almost 15 years. My graduate degree is from Miami University, and if we had time, I'd ask you to raise hands who can tell me where Miami University is. Miami was a university before Florida was a state. My master's degree program, and I majored in business, by the way, which was totally the wrong major for me. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about what I teach. I made a decision and I stuck with it, and it was the wrong decision. Thank God for the Air Force. I went in there for 4 years after my bachelor's degree, and it sort of woke me up to figure out what I wanted to do. My master's degree program cut across, it had a counseling emphasis, and it cut across all aspects of work in college, that it put counseling into everything that we do within a college system. I've believed that from the beginning in the different positions that I've held. I've been responsible for master calendar, facility use, theater management, community service, veterans, scholarship, financial aid, matriculation, student government, cafeteria, child development center, and I'm probably leaving something out. And most recently, as I've said, I've been a counselor. In my early years, I really did believe in the value of counseling across the college, and that we all have a responsibility to counsel and teach and learn from each other. And in that role, as I worked with people that were defined as counselors, I always sensed a little bit of concern that some of us outside of counseling used the term counselor, that we weren't really counselors. And I sort of, based on my education, I felt, well, yes, I am. But until I got into counseling, I never really understood the intricacies and the complications of it. We are all about student success. The whole new vision of student success, most of us embrace that. Who wouldn't embrace that that's part of this system? But the way in which some of this is coming across, in particular to this topic tonight, it's absolutely not in support of student success.
Doug, I'm sorry. I didn't say at the beginning that we do have to keep to 2 minutes, and so I'm willing to let you kind of keep going a little bit, but yeah, we have to kind of...
Then I'd like to cede my time to Doug Barr.
Okay.
Thank you. I teach career development. And in terms of the complexity of our students and all of the counseling classes that we teach, we are dealing with a very complex, diversified student population. Not every student fits exactly the same mode. Not every student needs exactly the same thing. Not every student can come up with an educational plan right off the bat and feel like that's what they're committed to. Part of what I'm going to do tonight is, if I may be so bold, and I teach risk-taking in my class. People need to take risks, but the secret is to take wise risks, not jump out of airplanes without a parachute. And risk-taking is really about making decisions. I made a decision to come here tonight, and I have an assignment for you. And I'm going to give you all a handout. And what I'm going to do, and I'm going to draw an analogy, because I think in a classroom environment, the more that you can give analogies to people, the better they are. What I have here, I don't know if you can see it. Does anybody know what this is?
It's a kumquat.
It's a kumquat.
I said a kumquat.
A kumquat is a very misunderstood citrus. And most people look at it, they don't even know what it is. They haven't tried it. Sometimes when they try it, it leaves a sour taste in their mouth, and they never try it again.
I like it.
My suspicion, my analogy is that some people in this room didn't even realize that counselors teach. And then they might follow that up by saying, well, why do they teach? Well, it has to do totally with student success. And if I use the kumquat as an analogy, the skin of the kumquat, and in most citrus fruits, you peel it off, and then you eat what's inside. Well, the kumquat, you eat the whole thing. I do it right now, except it would take longer. The whole thing. As counselors, the whole thing is that we both counsel one-on-one, we do workshops, and we teach classes that have meaning. And they incredibly make a difference. The handout that I'm going to give you is a flyer for my class. I'm giving you a business card. And I'm giving you a half a dozen kumquats that I grew in my yard. And I suggest that you try these kumquats, and if you don't like it the first time, if you are repelled a little bit by the idea of counselors teaching, or think that our time can be better used in one-on-one or in workshops, I urge you to have a second kumquat, and then maybe a third. Get used to the idea that counselors as teachers are a valuable, incredible part of the faculty. We are honored to be among actually everybody. I think everybody in the institution plays a role here. All of us. There's not one constituency that's better than another. But as teachers, we are the ones in the trenches with the students most. And that's where the success comes. It comes by creating personal relationships and working with students on and on. And I don't know, my time may be up. I'm basically done.
Yeah.
Except for my handouts.
Okay.
So,
You want to?
and you're going to get it. The assignment is, you're going to get an email from me for the next 11 weeks. And in that email, the first email, I'm going to give you the first assignment for my class. And then attached to that, on a subsequent email of that, you get one too. The second email is going to be a sample assignment of what students respond, their response. It's an example. Well, where's our chief negotiator? You're going to get sample work from a student.
Look out.
In the process, please don't disregard everything I said just because I tripped over. I'm going to work you through my class, and I hope you appreciate it. And I hope anybody that goes through this and still thinks we shouldn't be teaching as part of our regular road, at the risk of offending somebody, you might need a career development class. Thank you very much for listening.
All right. Well, we've established a dangerous precedent there, so we'll have to rope in the time. Blake, are you still wanting to speak?
I ceded my 2 minutes.
You did your okay. Then we're okay then.
Could I just make one last comment, though, the only in about 10 seconds?
Sure.
One key issue, because counselors also are teaching faculty, if we went to a separate calendar for counselors, that would very, very adversely affect students and student success. So we would urge that we do not adopt a separate calendar for counselors as opposed to any other faculty. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next we have Amira Brown, and then on deck we have Maxet Idris.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I'm Amira Brown, an IVC student. I ran for ASIVC Vice President in the recent ASIVC student elections and received the majority of the vote, but I was not elected. Why? Because after all the votes were counted, the substitute ASIVC advisor threw out the votes of all the Saddleback students who were also enrolled in classes at IVC, conveniently handing the election victory to my opponent. If my opponent had a complaint about the election, where is his complaint? He went straight to the substitute advisor, got immediate action without following any process, while I have complied with the process, but was disenfranchised. Now, these Saddleback students taking one or more classes at IVC were entitled to vote and had done so in every past election. Our ASIVC Constitution says, and I quote, "All students enrolled at Irvine Valley College, except for those enrolled in community education classes, are members of the ASIVC and shall be accorded the right to vote in college-wide elections of the ASIVC." Further, these students voted in good faith on the district's online election system, believing that their votes would be counted. not thrown in the trash due to a self-serving, arbitrary, discriminatory, and unconstitutional rule change made after the polls had closed. No one warned them or me of any issue with these students voting until after the votes had been tallied. So tonight, I and others are urging you to request a prompt, thorough investigation into this travesty of an election we believe is an embarrassment to the South Orange County Community College District that may attract unwanted attention from the Accreditation Commission. We are appealing to you as a last resort, as we have exhausted all of our resources at the college level. The college president, the vice president, and the ASIVC advisor have refused to redress our grievances. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Maxet Idris, and then we have Marietta Brown on deck.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. Thank you for having me here. Well, my partner, my vice president's candidate, as I was the president's candidate, she actually put out everything very nicely for you guys, and I want to elaborate on that. And I want to bring a second reason of why this is a very, very unfair election. Now, in every election every year, there has to be a pre-elections committee. Now, this is essential because it notifies every candidate of how to properly run a campaign and without violating any rules or regulations, right? But this pre-election committee never happened. We never had a meeting that notified us how to properly negotiate ourselves in the campaign. Now, because of this, we didn't have a proper election. Because of this, we had all this unfairness happen in our campaign. Now, secondly, the elections committee was actually formed, and it's supposed to be formed every year, but this year it was formed by 4 people: the president, the vice president, a secretary, and the treasurer. Now, in the Constitution, it says it has to be the associate justices, 2 associate justices, and 1 chief justice, and maybe 1 or 2 cabinet members. But it didn't happen in this case. The reason this is so because the court knows the Constitution. They know how to regulate it. They know how it works. And because of that this is why it's a necessity for them to be part of the elections committee, but they were not, which is why it's also unfair. And then lastly, a tabulated sheets. Once the elections are over, there has to be a tabulated sheets posted for the public to see. And it has to be tabulated, meaning it has to be number of votes, how many each person got. But this never happened. It just was a piece of paper with the names of who won. Now, how do we know these people really won? Because we didn't see the numbers, am I correct? And because of this, we do not know who truly won. And this is also very yeah, well, you get the point. So this is the reason we are here today, to kind of present to you this whole dilemma of why we're here today. And I hope you take it into consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next we have then Marietta Brown, followed by Gracia Barone. I can't read that. I'm sorry. Maybe next. Go ahead.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Marietta Brown, and I am here this evening to support my daughter, Amira Brown, as well as the other students who are representing the Associated Students of IVC. I also attended Irvine Valley College back in 1991. I then transferred to Cal State Fullerton and earned a bachelor's degree in communications, and then went on to pursue my master's degree in psychology at Pepperdine University. As a former student, being here tonight is very important to myself as well as my daughter, Amira. Amira is a hardworking student who is majoring in chemistry and then will be going on to pursue a career in the medical field. She will fight hard to make sure her voice is heard, which is why we ourselves are here tonight. Amira has exhausted all her resources at the college level. Why weren't her concerns regarding the student election and the Constitution addressed? Why, when her male opponent addressed the substitute advisor on his concerns, the advisor took immediate action? But when Amira addressed him with her concerns regarding the election and the ASIVC Constitution, she was disenfranchised. Is it because she is a woman, the only active female candidate who was running? We are in 2014. Why are we still having discrimination issues against women, especially at the college? I am supporting Amira in this unethical and unconstitutional student ASIVC election in which her voice is not being heard. I am asking you to hear her explanation onto why the student election was unethical and unconstitutional. All we want is a fair student ASIVC election according to the Irvine Valley College ASIVC Constitution. I thank you for your time and hope that you will investigate this matter.
Thank you. All right, so again, Gracia. Allison? Can't really read the last name. Not here? Okay. That's all for public comments. All right, we will move on then to recognitions. There are no resolutions. We have a commendation from Saddleback College President Todd Burnett.
Good evening, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Chancellor, and our wonderful guests tonight. I am very thrilled and honored to do a special commendation. And if she could please come up right now to Brooke Sauter. Brooke, come on up. See, I don't have to even say why you were bringing you up here. And look at the applause, Brooke. Well, I'll tell you, folks, it is my deep, absolute honor and pleasure to share that Brooke Sauter, a senior administrative assistant in the Division of Transfer, Career, and Special Programs, was named the Classified Employee of the Year by the California Community College's Board of Governors at the Board of Governors meeting in Sacramento on May 20th. Now we should applaud. As you may recall, Brooke was our college's actually classified employee of the year last year. And when we nominated her to the Chancellor's office for this prestigious statewide award, Brooke has worked at Saddleback for 10 years now, and in that time she has demonstrated a wonderful commitment to the mission of the California Community Colleges, and especially Saddleback. From her start in the matriculation office to her current role, where she daily assists veterans and disabled students, Brooke has garnered trust and respect from students who seek her out specifically because of her commitment and focused support of them. They like Brooke for a reason. She always shows them that they are important. Brooke has shown time and again that she is willing to support other departments and activities that benefit students. She offers her savvy skills to several campus-wide activities, including Commencement and Senior Day, mentors the Student Veterans Club, serves as co-advisor for the Veterans Student Council, and represents the Classified Senate on the college's Basic Skills Initiative Committee. Previously, she assisted in the development of our online orientation system and worked with the State Chancellor's Office to arrange veteran focus groups. Indeed, Brooke consistently rises to the occasion and finds ways to spread her enthusiasm well beyond her position as the senior administrative assistant in her division. Brooke has had a remarkable impact on students and colleagues alike, and we're very proud of her work and this well-deserved achievement. Congratulations, Brooke.
All right, next we have Irvine Valley College President Glenn Roquemore with a commendation.
Thank you, Chancellor Portner and our Board of Trustees. It is indeed a rare pleasure that we have tonight to commend so many people all at once. All of these employees are the ones that want to thank or honor someone else for their efforts. And in fact, each IVC department has wanted to be certain that all of the efforts from other departments were not, in fact, overlooked. So what is this all about? Tonight, I would like to publicly take a moment to thank the IVC staff members, particularly the first responders, who pulled together on the afternoon and evening of June 3rd when a fire water main break occurred in the Irvine Valley College Performing Arts Center. And in fact, it was an amazing quick response by an initial few that probably saved our beloved Performing Arts Center from what I fear could have been a terrible and unmanageable amount of damage done. There they are. But it was also an incredible response by many who worked together in the following nights and days that I also want to thank and recognize at my fall opening session. This united effort allowed performances to continue in the true theater tradition of the show must go on. For their immediate and accurate response to a pending facility disaster in the IVC Performing Arts Center, I would like to commend the following. First of all, Robert Bennett. James Betancourt. And family matter, not able to be here tonight, but I'll mention his name, Daniel Campbell. Michael Collins. Jeffrey Hurlbut. Has a day off tonight, Richard Mosqueta. Vacation, Mark Peterson. Ben Smith. And finally, Patrick Taylor. And I thank them all for their efforts. They're absolutely fantastic. Okay. We also have their deans and managers here representing them here tonight. So we have Dean David Gatewood and we have Director John Edwards here to shake their hands as well. Well done.
All right. Next we have, and we thank you too. Next we have board reports. Start with Trustee Jay, and we are going to keep these to 2 minutes, right?
You looking at me?
Yeah. Am I coming through? Yes. Yeah, I would just say that what you just witnessed was the large number of awards, commendations, and praise that we give to the various segments of the college here at IVC, Saddleback, and a third campus, which is still a Bloomin'. But anyway, we hope that we've included everybody. And when we don't, you call our attention to it. And you may be it, and we'll see you on the next agenda or two. Thank you.
All right. Trustee Jemal.
So I just want to address the esteemed counselor in the back of the room. I answered Ohio correctly, and my family is kumquat, so do I get some extra credit? All right. I mentioned commencement in the invocation and attended both the ceremonies late last month, and again congratulate the classes of 2014 from both IVC and Saddleback College and everyone that was involved with both the colleges and the district in putting on the commencement ceremonies. I know how much effort and work went into that, and we appreciate it very much. Last week, I also attended an interesting forum hosted by the Orange County Business Council discussing the future of higher education. And I think we even had a representative from Saddleback there. There were representatives from the UC system, CSU, and the private sector, and and sponsored by a group called the Campaign for College Opportunity. And a number of very serious issues were discussed, including how to define student success, measure student completion, access to financial aid, which was an important element, and then something that we all want but doesn't always happen, which is unity between the three systems, and between the UC system, the CSU, and community colleges. We had an unfortunate situation recently where our college would like to see a BA program offered for nursing students, and I had a good discussion there with the CSU person about that issue, and we're not in agreement on that issue, and hopefully going forward we can provide there can be some unity on it between our two systems. But it was a healthy discussion, and I look forward to the next conversation with this group, if there is such one, in the next few months. Thank you very much.
Okay. Trustee Milcher.
Yeah, thank you. First, I'd like to announce very happily that our Emeritus Institute is going to continue, at least through this year, in the same method, in the same where are we here? Just like it's being offered right now to all of our students, and so many of our students consider this their lifeline to a good life, and it's important. And I believe very, very strongly, and all of us believe very strongly, in the Comprehensive Community College District. So the Comprehensive Community College District will be okay for now, and I want to thank all of the many students and professors and staff members that wrote so many letters, and also thank the Higher Education Committee that let the emeritus get by for at least another year. So we'll keep up the fight. So and we could use all your help. I also attended the 2 commencements, and I've never missed a commencement. I certainly have perfect attendance at the commencements, and I try very hard to make it to the commencements because I think that it's important for the trustees to see their board members there, and so many of the professors come. They don't have to come, but they come. They want to see their students, the students they work so hard with for 2 years, not so many years, fulfill their community college degrees and get their AAs or ASs or certificates of completion. And I thank all of you that work so hard to make the commencements so wonderful. I think these were the 2 largest commencements I've ever been to, and all the trustees got to shake the students' hands, and it was a really wonderful evening that helps us really fulfill what we're here for and what we do. I also attended the KSBR Birthday Bash, which was lovely, and the board retreat, and the Henry Nicholas III Center graduation celebration, which really helped so many students make it through the colleges, make it through high school and through college successfully. And that's what we do at Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College. So I think my 2 minutes are up. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll move on. Thank you.
All right. I'd like to just kind of reiterate what they said about the commencements. Nice job. We got great weather for the outdoor and not too hot for the indoor in the morning. It was perfect. So those were very well attended and very nice to be a part of. I did also want to bring attention, if you don't know, the state managed to follow the law that we passed, and they passed their budget on time for the 2nd year in a row. It was signed, and it was very good for the community colleges. So we're excited to see that, and we're very happy that is still, the promises are being kept, and that is important. That's all I have. Trustee Lang.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, I also wanted to acknowledge what terrific commencement ceremonies that we had this past year. Particularly, I wanted to thank both our college presidents, both President Roquemore and President Burnett, on the fine job that you and your staff did on putting together such a meaningful day for our students and for their friends and family. We also held our board self-evaluation recently at Mission Viejo Country Club, which is always a worthwhile exercise. The session was facilitated by Cinder Smith, who has been with us in the past and has done a great job, I think, for us. And for us, it's, I think, a very good exchange of dialogue and ideas among the trustees and the Chancellor, and really helps us develop our own priorities for the new fiscal year. Naturally, I also wanted to mention that we missed Trustee Padberg at both the board self-evaluation and at tonight's meeting, and we certainly look forward to her rejoining us once her health permits. I also attended several non-district sponsored functions recently, including the Irvine Mayor's Luncheon, where I saw President Roquemore, and IVC was well represented at a table there. Mayor did announce some new educational initiatives, including a UCI incubator program. which I think fits very well with our ATEP programs as well. This past Thursday, I attended the Chapman Economic Forecast, where, again, I saw Carol Hilton, Kathy Worley, and Juan Avalos from Saddleback. I think the forecast was generally pretty upbeat, predicting steady economic growth both locally, statewide, and nationally. That's my report. Thank you.
All right. And I was leaving it to you, but I guess it should be worth mentioning that our new student trustee is probably the first one to ever show up to the work session retreat. So we want to give him props for that. And
dressed very well.
And you are next.
So,
Just
how's
he
everybody
outdressed
doing?
me doesn't mean he was dressed.
I
really
keeps
well.
talking. So, I'd like to commend, the staff members that were there that detected the fire and the water. This prevented, could have been drastic damage to the school. And, we really care about our school. And, I'm really proud of those members that did that. And thank you very much. And I'd also like to congratulate both ASG presidents, Sarvi and President Safar, for winning their elections. I'm very proud of them. And I'd like to let you guys know that we will be at UCI tomorrow. We will be working with both representatives from the student body tomorrow. So look forward to seeing some new change. Working with UCI is going to be interesting. I will be meeting with Chancellor Drake and other Vice Chancellor. So I'm very excited to be working at this college, like I said, and I look forward to meeting with every single one of you. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Chancellor's report.
No comments tonight.
Okay. College presidents.
Well, first off, welcome, student trustee Keith Carrillo. We look forward to working with you. Second, our wishes at Saddleback College on behalf of all of us, of course, a speedy recovery for Trustee Padberg. With that said, you had mentioned commencement, and actually tonight, for the first time in 6 years, I get to do this. I would like to have a certain individual in the audience stand up who has been enormously responsible for helping us put on this amazing commencement that seems like every year it gets better and better and better, and we owe a great deal of it, of course, to everybody, our faculty, staff, our administrators, managers, to all of you. But I do want to point out one person that's just critical in this whole thing and leading the whole way, and that's Audra DiPadova, our Director of Student Development. So please take a stand, Audra. You deserve it. Amazing. Truly amazing. Thank you, Audra. With that said, in addition to commencement, of course, we had some great news, not only for our college, our district, but our region, and that was, as you all know, the $15 million Career Pathways grant that we were awarded. It was the single largest consortium in the state that applied for the $250 million. It was the first county-wide consortium made up of community colleges, K through 12, business and industry, the WIBs, I could go down the list, four-year universities, you name it, really the first time everybody came together. And this Career Pathways, of course, if you might know, is dealing with a K through career process to facilitate a stronger process for K through career, in particular in industries which is healthcare and biotechnology, engineering, advanced manufacturing and design, and information communication technology, digital media. So we look forward to working, of course, with our sister college, Irvine Valley College, as well as all other partners in making that much more successful for our county and region. With that said, as you all know, the college is busy preparing for the start of fall semester. In addition, many of us are taking vacations over the next few weeks, I included. So with that said, have a happy summer.
All right. President Roquemore.
Okay, I'll try to do this in 2 minutes. I have just one topic. Sound probably like an auctioneer. In IVC's time of need, Ruth Higgins was there to help. Student, staff, faculty, and the administrators joined together to thank her for supporting the financial aid office and ensuring that the students at IVC are now being paid in a timely manner. Ruth volunteered for a reclassification assignment at IVC, and it's the acting director of financial aid office back in October 2013. I'd like to thank Saddleback College for allowing that to happen. When she accepted the position, she realized that the financial aid department was severely behind in processing student payments. She quickly assessed the status of the financial aid department. Ruth put parameters in place with the PowerPage system to allow more student awards in a timely manner. Within less than 2 months, she had assisted the department in awarding close to 1,700 files. Many of the students had been waiting for 4 to 5 months to receive their payments. She continued to work behind the scenes to ensure students were getting updates and timely information about the financial aid process, and worked with the IVC webmaster to update information on the financial aid webpage. She worked with staff to develop workshops, something that had not been done for a very long time. She implemented a new software, Net Partners, to allow students to view their financial aid status online, limiting the walk-in traffic and telephone calls. She worked with new staff to train them on how to award eligible students financial aid. She created a much-needed presence in the department. Her 30 years of financial aid experience and her strong technology background gave staff a sense of security that they came to rely on her expertise. In IVC's time of need, Ruth was there to help. Students, staff, faculty, and administration joined together to thank her for supporting the financial aid office at IVC, ensuring that the students are now being paid in a timely manner. And Ruth Higgins is in the audience. We want to thank her.
We may not want to advertise that too much. The VA may steal her. All right. Associated Student Government, Saddleback, let's start with you.
Hello, thank you for having me. I just wanted to say that more than ever, we've seen such a strong interaction between IVC and Saddleback College right off, not even before the school year has begun. So I'm very excited to work across the district. Thank you for having me.
All right. ASIVC.
All right, thank you as well. We're here today to present our budget, our tentative budget for this year. So I'm very glad and I'm looking forward to do that. Thank you.
Later on. All right, great, thank you. And did we have any board requests for reports? Not this evening? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and advance items 6.1 and 6.2 since we have some people on the clock. 6.1 is Resolution 14-18. It's a resolution of the Board of Trustees of South Orange County Community College District approving the environmental analysis checklist dated May 2014 in relation to the ATEP property.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to introduce Dr. Peoples and myself. I'm Dr. Deborah Fitzsimmons, and we're providing a summary of 6.1 and 6.2 this evening, which is a real estate transaction for the ATEP property involving Valencia Parcel. Before we begin our presentation, Dr. Peoples will provide an orientation of the site we're talking about. So with that, I'll give you Dr. Peoples.
Thank you and good evening. Before you, the first slide you see is looking at our site in Tustin at ATEP, and you can see the strip across to the north of the main site on Valencia Avenue, and there's a 4.53 acre site there. It's actually leased to us from the city, subleased from the city through the Navy because that area is still going through remediation. But that, of course, is a site that the city is interested in doing a future park site. Here, I'll use the mouse. There we go. And there we go. This is the area that the future Tustin Legacy Park will be for the city. And then you can see here the 4.53 acres that we're looking to transfer to the city. And here's the other depiction of that. My mouse isn't working. And also what's interesting is there's a road to the far north of that actually would have taken over an acre of land out of that, making it just less usable for us if we were to have kept it. In the next slide, there's also about a half an acre strip of land that's in the very corner of our property. I'll show you in the next slide where that's located. But it's a strip of land that's not within the major piece of property. It's difficult to use for anything or for any purpose, and also it's costly for us to maintain. Its usable space is about a quarter of an acre, and we're looking to transfer that also to the city. And as we look at the major view of the overall site, you can see the blue area now are the property that we over a year ago transferred and adjusted through an agreement with the city of Tustin. And that area is contiguous, it's easy to maintain, and where the property to the north in the yellow, which is on the right of the page, is across Valencia Avenue. It's a large and busy street, and it would be difficult to move students back and forth across that. So that's the orientation of the pieces.
Okay, so what is this transaction? What does it entail? So what would happen would be the district would sublease with the city. It would be amended and to delete the Valencia parcel from our sublease. And it would convey to the city by quitclaim deed the strip parcel. And those were the two parcels that Randy already mentioned. We would also relinquish our right to acquire the fee title to the Valencia parcel. And from the DA, which is the development agreement, it would be removed from the definition of the district property. It would also allow us to extend the interim lease amendment by 18 months, 12 months with an option to renew additional 6. The consideration would be $1 million, $500,000 in a credit for the Valencia parcel pursuant to last year's agreement, and at closing the city would pay the district $500,000 in cash. We'd have mutual releases on the parcel. The city would pay all transaction costs related to this transaction. Obviously, we're already doing our due diligence prior to completion of this transaction, and closing date would be approximately 35 days after the statute of limitations under CEQA. The city will be developing some parking facilities, and if there is available parking, the city and the district would negotiate in good faith for use of that parking under this agreement. Also in the DA, again, we already talked about recording an amendment to the DA and relinquishing our right to acquire fee title. And also, from the real estate transaction last year, we were required to share in the cost of McCain-Smith building that street, and that was beside the Valencia parcel. As part of this agreement, we will no longer be required to pay that, and that would have been a savings of $260,000 for our district, approximately, to build that street. As part of the transaction, on the Valencia parcel, there's CC&Rs, and basically it's restrictions on the use of the land. For the Valencia parcel, the city has to use it for basically, according to their testing legacy plan, for ball fields, courts, playgrounds, basically what they said they're going to use it and why they needed the transaction to begin with. As far as the strip of land, at the close of the deal, there's also CC&Rs on that parcel, and it's got to be used for purposes that are very similar to what the OC Rescue Mission is already using their current land for. The timeline, we're now on June 23rd, so this is tonight. We're asking for action and approval of the two items, 6.1 and 6.2. After this evening, the City Council will have second reading. They've already gone through first reading, as well as the Planning Commission, had the public hearing for this last week, and so City Council would see it next week, and the transaction closing date would be in mid-August. So with that, we ask that you take a look at 6.1 and 6.2 and ask if you have any questions before we go through the approval for the items. I should also say something more importantly here is we have consultants and the City of Tustin representing us tonight. We have Andrew Bernstein and Elaine Tabor from Jackson and DeMarco, Nadir Shah from Hudson, and Jeremy Kraut from EDP. From the City of Tustin, we have Matt West, so they're all available if you have any additional questions. I want to thank the city for such a good working relationship we had with them, and we're able to go through this complicated deal together. With that, do you have any questions?
I have a... Okay. Trustee Lang. Oh, you're going to... Okay. We have a motion to approve and a second. Do we do a roll call on this as a resolution? No. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and vote on the item. Okay. We have a unanimous yes vote with 2 trustees absent, Padberg and Wright. And next we'll take a motion on 6.2.
Second.
Same motion and second, Trustee Lang and Trustee Jemal. Any further discussion or questions on those? Go ahead and vote. Unanimous yes vote, 2 trustees absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your hard work, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, so now we'll go ahead and go back to 5.0, the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve all consent items? I have a motion from Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Jemal, I think, got in there first. And do I have any polls? No polls. Okay. Go ahead and vote on the consent calendar. Unanimous yes vote, 2 absent, and 1 student advisory yes vote. All right, next we'll move on then to 6.3, tentative budget. And I believe we have a presentation on that.
Good evening again. Dr. Deborah Fitzsimmons, Vice Chancellor of Business Services, and with me tonight is Kim McCord, Executive Director of Fiscal Services. We'll be presenting this South Orange County Community College District budget, and it is a tentative budget for fiscal year 2014-2015. So just a reminder, the tentative budget is the draft budget that we use to start out the fiscal year. So what we do is the fiscal year begins on July 1st, and it's basically based on best information we have at the time and also conservative assumptions. The adopted budget is the final budget, and that is brought back to the board in August of this year. I want to remind you what the board philosophy is on budget, and that's starting in your budget book under the budget guidelines. There are 3 things that are found in the budget book, and basically we want to ensure that we have wise and prudent use of public resources, promote financial strength and stability, and maximize education opportunities for students. We haven't gone over the budget development guidelines for a while, so I thought it was a good opportunity to do that. There are basically 10 guiding principles that are in the budget book. They're on page 10 and 11 in the budget document. We have a reserve for economic uncertainties, and basically the guiding principle is that we have no less than 7.5% of the unrestricted revenues be put into a contingency for uncertainties, and that's what that is. We also have a guideline on future long-term debt, and what that means is no additional debt will occur, and if we do have it, it has to have a dedicated revenue stream that's identified for repayment of any debt. The next one is regarding retirement incentives. Basically, what this guideline says is that one-time funds are to be identified that cover all costs if we have a retirement incentive plan. Number 4 is talking about area and college allocations, and basically it sort of goes along with number 5. It basically talks about deficit funding and how we should have no negative balances, and they define deficit funding as budget in which projected expenditures exceed projected revenues. We should never have ongoing expenses such as salaries be used for one-time funds. Number 6 has to do with the OPEB trust, and basically the guiding principle is that this is an irrevocable trust, and it's intended for the liability that's identified in the actuarial study that we do, and it is intended to be fully funded. Number 7 talks about basic aid, but it also talks about it in relationship to our operational budget. And basically, it talks about expenditures for ongoing operations and that they shall be revenues that would be available through state apportionment formula, and that the excess revenue is to be used for one-time uses and not for regular ongoing expenses, and to follow the BP and AR for 3110, which is basic aid, BP, and AR. Number 9 is about full-time equivalent student targets, and it also goes along with funding for growth. Basically, it talks about when we develop our FTES targets, we have to use a percent of growth allocation that's in the state allocation formula, and it also to be realistic. And as far as funding for growth, we are to be tying our FTES to the limits in the state growth model growth and formula, and also to make sure that our draft model follows that. So those are basically a reminder of what the 10 budget development guidelines are that we then develop our budget on through the draft committee as well as at the colleges and district. And with that, I'll give you Kim McCord.
Good evening. I'm going to go over some of the figures in the budget. So this page shows you the overall structure with our funds. So our general fund next year is $251.7 million, and it's made up of our unrestricted general fund, which is our operating budget, of $221.7 million, and then we have the $25 million for the restricted, which is our grants and contracts. And then all other funds are about $385 million. That's our community ed, child development, the basic aid that's in capital outlay, as well as our retiree benefits, OPEB trust, and our insurance fund. So some of the assumptions that go into the budget is that we are using the governor's budget that we base this on, since we didn't have the final budget at the time we prepared this. Our revenue is based on the SB 361 revenue allocation model for our ongoing base budget. We did include a COLA of 0.86%, which was about $1.2 million, and growth funding of 3%, which was about $3.8 million. Very conservatively, we estimated property taxes to increase 1%, and our enrollment fees are remaining at $46 per unit, which is statutory from the state. So they didn't make any changes in that. On the expense side, as Deborah said, we have a 7.5% reserve for economic uncertainties. That's required by board policy. It's $11.4 million. The PERS rate, the board had already approved that rate. It's 11.771%. STRS at the time, we did not have the legislative change, so we only have the 8.25% in this budget. But as we just found out, and there's a later slide, it's going to be 8.88% next year for our employer cost. So that will be in the adopted budget. And we do have some significant increases in both those systems, as you'll see in a later slide. The unemployment insurance is still really low at 0.05%, so I guess we're doing well in our experience with that, and workers' comp is remaining at 1.8%. On the property and liability insurance, that's a big ticket item. It's $1.15 million. That's an increase of $90,000 this year. As our experience and fees go up, that has increased. Salary increases, we've done the step and column that everybody expects, but we have not built any COLA increases. We're still in negotiations, and we didn't have an exact COLA that was legislatively approved yet. So again, we'll build those into the adopted budget. Health and welfare, we estimated 9% for this budget. I think we're just getting the final renewals now. We expect that to be a little bit less for the adopted budget, the final numbers, but we're just getting the overall calculation done right now. And then to be conservative for our categorical funding, we do 95% of last year's adopted budget. As an additional item, the Prop 30 EPA funds, we do have to have a special separate item that shows that the board has approved our spending plan. So right now we have $2.5 million, which is a small decrease over this year. And we do budget those for part-time faculty salaries and benefits because they're additional funds that we know have a time limit. They will go away. So we don't want those for any permanent ongoing expenses. And we do do a final report at the end of the year on how those are spent. It's posted on our website. It's part of our annual reporting to the state. And Deborah's going to talk about basic aid.
Okay. Last month, we went through in quite detail all of the basic aid recommendations, and we had a presentation on that were recommended from BARC to the Chancellor to the board. So this is just a recap. So just to remind you, there's over $47 million worth of projects being recommended. And so again, nothing has changed since last month since we went over those projects. The basic aid expenses, we fund several different categories. They primarily are made up capital facilities projects, IT capital projects, and other authorized one-time projects. And just a reminder that we didn't recommend last month to put additional money into the OPEB trust. That's because it's already fully funded. The liability calculation was done by the actuary, and it's adequate. So we didn't have to put an additional recommendation in there for funding that liability. I'm going to ask Kim to do a correction for you to provide. There's information on one of the documents in the budget book that we want to correct on basic aid, so we'll provide you that right now.
Yes, on page 21 of the budget book, we have a summary of our basic aid funds. And there's a line that has closed projects that had $171 million, And the next line had 505 million for the total open projects. And actually the 505 is the total projects that were funded previously. So the closed was 171, the open is really 333 for a total of 505. So that,
what page is that?
sorry, page 21 of the budget. So we'll make that correction on the document that we post on our website. You want me to repeat that if you found the page? Okay. In the middle of the page, we talk about the closed projects that were funded, 171 million. Y'all see that line? So then right below it, I have open projects, 505. Really, 505 million was the total of open and closed. So open should have been only 333 million. Mm-hmm. So sorry about that. We made a change in format and didn't catch that error at the very last minute.
I see it.
Okay, we're doing something new at Tentative Budget this year. We wanted to sort of point out some trends that we've been noticing and wanted to make sure you were aware of them. So the district-wide personnel costs make up an average about 86.5% of the total budget. And that 86.5% of the total budget includes one-time funds. So really, if you took out the one-time funds, like the Prop 30 temporary funds and mandated costs, for instance, it's really around 88% of the total, okay? We have not seen state COLA and growth being adequate to keep up with increased costs. And the upward trends are in several categories, both in salaries, in health and welfare, and STRS and PERS. So what I wanted to show you was what's really going on PERS and STRS. If you look across this chart, and I know it's small, but I wanted to sort of be able to show you everything. You can see across the first row the STRS annual rates, and you can see the first column, 2015 tentative. That's the 8.25% that we budgeted for STRS in the tentative budget. Now, going across, you can see in adopted, it increases to 8.88%. And as you can see, every year it's increasing all the way up with additional percentages to a total of $6.7 million cumulative over the 6-year period. That's a lot of money. So that's significant, and that's just accounting for the employer rates increasing, not the employee rates, which are also going up. If you take a look at the PERS column, so that's the gray block, first row, you can see that in tentative budget it's 11.771%. That's what Kim had indicated we're budgeting for tentative. That doesn't go up in adoptive, but you can see that it does go up every year after that. And that accounts for $3.2 million over the time period. So between PERS and STRS rates for employers, we're talking about an additional, over a 6-year period of time, $10 million. That's pretty significant. And that's just the employer rates. That's not including what the employees are going to have to pay additionally. That's really, really high, as you can see, and I wanted you to see that trend. Now, we'll update this and continue to take a look at it as we go through each budget version and through next year. The other trend that I thought you would be interested in seeing is related to both health and welfare and also our salaries as relates to total unrestricted general fund. So I want to caveat this. So what we tried to do is try to give you a glimpse of this, knowing that we're still only at the tentative budget stage, which is our draft budget, and we'll have updated information at the end of this fiscal year because we haven't closed this fiscal year yet. And so for adopted, we'll update these sheets and provide additional information on this. But we wanted to sort of give you a glimpse of what the trend is looking like. So if you look at the green row going across the top of the page, that accounts for unrestricted general fund budget. So that's not restricted funds such as grants and things like that. And it also includes what we consider the one-time dollars. So I didn't take those out of this analysis right now. If we would, it would be much worse, actually. So if you take a look, the percent change, including the temporary funds, were 11.6%. Excluding that, it's a lot lower, okay, on our income. Now, taking a look at our total salaries, we're looking at 11% during the same time period, but again, that's over the total income, which is on the green row, including temporary. It would be about 12 or more if you took out the temporary funds, all right? Now, look at the blue bar at the very bottom on health and welfare. Now, that's not including the unemployment insurance, workers' comp, those kind of things, but you can see for the same time period, our health and welfare benefits had increased 50.6% over that same time period. That's really significant. Now, that's following the national trend, but still, you have to understand that if you take salaries, health and welfare benefits, plus unemployment and other types of costs, add them together for total compensation, they're far exceeding our income increases over the same time period. So that's really the point we wanted to show you, that it is a struggle. We are getting new money in, and yes, the state budget does look very good for us this year, but still, we're still not making up for what we need as far as our increased costs. Looking ahead, we'll have Kim do the slide.
Okay, to wrap it up. So the state budget that just got signed and passed, well, of course, we'll incorporate all of that into our adopted budget that we bring back to you in August. But to mention that the COLAs that were state calculated since 08-09 that weren't funded, that we didn't get, was 15%. So, our costs are all going up, and that's what the state has calculated we should have been getting, but they did not fund. And we were actually hoping they would try to make up some of those lost COLAs that we've been missing, but they didn't do that this year, so maybe again in the future we'll get those funds. But it does really tie our hands in what we can do. This chart I just threw in so that you can see in 07-08, which was before we started hitting the reductions, these are the allocations we had for each of these categories. This current year, we made up some of it, but even in the next year budget, a lot of those are in red. That means we're still getting less money now 7 years later than we did in 07-08. So they did add money for student success in some very important areas, but we're missing it in a lot of the disabled students, the EOPS program, the CalWorks program, where we serve a lot of students with specific needs, and they're still behind. So there's still work to do to get us back where we need to be to help those students.
So what the colleges are really doing is they're trying to make up and augment the programs by their general fund operating dollars to try to sort of make sure that students are still okay in those programs. So that's another point that we wanted to mention. So with that, do you have any questions for the district's tentative budget?
I have a request to speak from Trustee Jemal.
Thank you. Good presentation to both of you. On page 10 of your PowerPoint, you mentioned district-wide personnel costs make up an average of 86.5% of the total budget. How do those average costs break out at IVC and Saddleback in the district? Because this is a district-wide number, right?
Yes, that is a district-wide number, and we have that in the budget book, if I can remember what page. Kim? She knows each page by heart. I just know they're in there. Okay, so if you could take a look at Exhibit A, which is the budget document, page 15 of 36, there's 3 charts there.
Page 15?
Yes, page 15.
Okay.
Okay.
And what we did was we broke it down by Saddleback College, Irvine Valley College, and district services. So you can see it's around the 88% range for both the colleges and 87% for the district services. So it's right around each other.
I see.
And the reason why at 86 is district-wide is we included some one-time funds. You take them out, it is going to be around 88, 89.
So are there any concern in those percentages from your perspective?
Well, in those dollars do include one-time temporary employees, NBUs, part-time faculty, so there aren't all ongoing costs from year to year. It's around the range that we use as a rule of thumb. We would not want to see that go up.
Okay. Then I had just another question, maybe it's rhetorical, but the rating cost increases for PERS and STIRS, is there anything we can do about it?
They've been trying to do something about that on a collective basis,
right,
but it doesn't look very good.
All right. Trustee Lang.
Yes, there was the question that I had asked you earlier, and which you got back to me on, was that there was a numerical difference in the basic aid between one of the schedules and the other, which you had indicated to be about $500,000 in credit card fees that had gotten grossed up in one of the numbers, but not in the other. Can you elaborate further on that?
It is related. First of all, Trustee Lang is referring to our basic aid dollar amount. And between 2 sheets, you can see a difference between the back sheet where we have the budget laid out in a landscape version. And then in our basic aid receipts total, there's about a $500,000 difference. And what that is in accounting, and it's accounting for our credit card processing fees related to students who pay online, and we process those through credit card, because that's seems to be the trend now to pay through credit card, which we do want them to pay through credit card and obviously not come in and have to come into the office with cash, et cetera. Do you want to talk about the accounting behind that?
Yeah, so when we do the calculation, we net those fees against the revenue that we have for student fees. But on the accounting side, I can't show that as net revenue. We still have to budget the expense for those charges, and so the revenue is higher and the expenses are, so it's revenue and expense versus a net number that we're showing you that's available.
Right. So my point is we're basically acting as like a collection agency for the credit card companies and passing those fees through, or?
We're just netting them out for available funds because it's kind of a cost of collecting our enrollment fees. The way we calculate the available funds is we look at our enrollment fees and our property taxes, and once we fund the SB 361 revenue, the balance goes to basic aid. But that enrollment fee number is net of our credit card fees because that's the cost of collecting them. Okay. So we kind of on one page show it as the net revenue that's available, but we understand on the accounting side it's actually an expense that we're netting. So sorry on that one sheet, it does look a little different. The number looks a little different, but it all matches up.
Okay. No, I was more interested in really what's happening in terms of this credit card expense that effectively our students are paying.
We pay those fees. It's a cost. So every time a student pays with a credit card, the credit card companies charge us. There's bank fees associated, the 2%.
Right. The point is it's neutral as far as we're concerned. Students are out of pocket for $500,000. Is that what we're saying?
No, the students are not paying. It's just our fee. We're just netting it out of our income because that income's in our budget and we use it to balance our budget, and we want to make sure we understand there's a cost to collecting all those enrollment fees, and so we're trying to net that out. So we aren't looking at the gross number, the net number.
Okay.
So just to be clear, it's not a student cost, it's a cost to the district that's from the credit card company for receiving the payments.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other requests to speak, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we need to vote on this? All right. Need a motion and a second?
So moved. Give it to Bill.
All right. Motion from Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Jemal.
Yes.
All right. No further discussion. Go ahead and vote on the item. It is unanimous with 2 absent and 1 student advisory yes vote. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, I would be very remiss if I didn't at least recognize Vice Presidents David Kachaturian and Carol Hilton, who worked very hard on developing the budget, along with the presidents and all the other executive staff of the colleges. As always, they do an excellent job. We work very well together, and they basically keep the college in good shipshape. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, we have 6.4 tentative student government budgets. We have Saddleback and IVC. Who'd like to go first?
Saddleback is first on the
All right. Saddleback
PowerPoint.
is listed first on the PowerPoint. There you go. Settles that.
Okay. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Chancellor. Thank you for having me. My name is Sarvi Palavan. I am the 2014-2015 Associated Student Government President of Saddleback College. I'm very happy to be here this evening to present the 2014-2015 tentative ASG budget. We are very excited for the upcoming school year, and we have already begun paving the path for student success and student-organized programs and events. On this slide, I am presenting... There we go. On this slide, I'm presenting our tentative balance sheet. As you can see, since we don't have a beginning balance, we are basing our beginning balance off of last year's. This will, of course, be changed in August when we present our final budget, and that will have an accurate amount. This past year on ASG, we have broken some significant ground in planning for the sale of the ASB stamp, or the Gaucho stamp, which I provided you all with a booklet of coupons that you can take a look and hopefully use. There's some yummy restaurants in there. As you know, all the proceeds from the ASB Gaucho stamp sales go towards student success programs and are actually going into the ASG budget to be spent on the students. We met our increased goal for sales revenue for 2013-2014, and we are projecting the same income in the upcoming year, summing to $65,000 in revenue. We've already begun developing new ways to market the ASB stamp and strive to make it an essential for every Saddleback College student. We are increasing our overall allocation in the campus life category. This is the major change that we have in our budget this year. As you can see, it's going to go up by $20,000. This is to accommodate two of our newest and most valuable programs that I will go on to describe in a few moments. Due to the outstanding success of the scholarship program and the Foundation's tremendous work with our innovative match program, which you guys have year after year, or actually this year, matched so well, we plan to again put $110,000 towards scholarships. So the point A and B I've already described to you. These are things that are remaining the same. C goes to point out the major change that I said that we will have in our budget this year. We will no longer be funding mid-year allocations because of the limited time that the administrators have to execute these programs and also to spend their funds. This affects the success of the programs, and so this year we are planning to fund 2 new programs that will improve the student success and the impact that it has. One of these is going to be crunch time, and we're allocating $12,000 towards crunch time, and another is going to be $10,000 towards our special grants topics, which we will be administering at the beginning of the year in order to maximize the amount of success that we have with them. As I said, this will replace the $20,000 for the mid-year allocations. This year, we have also granted an additional amount to $1,300 to $1,400 to our Veteran Student Council, our Honor Student Council, and our International and Diversity Student Council because of their successful programming and outreach to their respective student bodies. They have laid a wonderful foundation, and now we need more resources to further their reach. As before, our emergency reserve will be 7.5% of our total projected revenue, and it will sum to $30,000 this year to manage unexpected costs and not jeopardize student life. So just some accomplishments and highlights from our past fiscal year. Great ASG accomplishment, which will be one of the programs that are newly implemented and allocated for, is our crunch time, and they've been granted a permanent yearly budget for ASG in order to continue outstanding efforts to improve student performance during exams week and encourage on-campus studying with extended library hours, snacks, and exam supplies. With the spectacular work of selfless students who want to make a difference, we have created a social sanctuary here at Saddleback College where students thrive, grow, and connect with the endless stream of resources for success. With over 6 club brushes this year, Interclub Council has opened a transparent channel of communications amongst the student body. They, along with the Student Development Office, have created a workshop series for students from all corners of campus to learn about planning, budgeting, and parliamentary procedures, much like what we do in here and what we do in student government, to enrich their educational experience with hands-on channels for leadership. This year, ASG funded the International Peer Mentor Program, an interactive program for international and resident students alike to build cultural awareness and leadership skills. They provided a safe social setting for the international student population, and this year we think a lot of our special topics grants will also be towards the Peer Mentor category. ASG has also broken ground with the integration of the Veteran Student Council, who has optimized their resources by taking advantage of off-campus activities for the whole community, as well as close interaction with the veterans at Irvine Valley College through tournaments and awareness events. For the upcoming year, we are planning to continue these legacies and further our efforts. We hope to unify the school community through awareness of campus decisions and issues through the use of our technological resources. Our effective use and distribution of resources to the student body would not be possible without the guidance of our teachers and advisors, the professors who were here, our Vice President Avalos, and especially President Burnett. Thank you for supporting our efforts and making Saddleback College a community built on empowerment, character, and opportunity. Thank you very much for your time.
Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next we have IVCs.
Good evening, President Prendergast, members of the board, Chancellor Portner, members of the campus communities. I'm Dennis Gordon, the Acting Director of Student Life at Irvine Valley College. And this evening I have the pleasure of introducing Safar Kardithudli and our Treasurer, Robert Segura. Safar and Robert will be presenting the ASIVC tentative budget for the current year 2014-15.
All right, thank you, Robert. Dennis, Robert. Good evening. I'm SIVC President Safar Hadiyatullah. Thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation of our tentative budget for the next year. We'd like to present the budget, and we will happy to answer any question at the end. So right now, I'd like to present our budget process. SIVC budget process follows our constitution and bylaws. For all the SIVC fundings, we require those to be submitted in writing in April of each year. Then our budget and finance committee gets together and reviews those requests. We typically look at 2-year prior funding requests. We compare them to the current year just to see what the differences are and reconcile those amounts. This year, we actually invited the school faculty and staff advisors, and they had the opportunity to come and give a presentation about their budget request, which enabled us as students to gain a more deeper understanding of what those funding requests were. Then we took into consideration any new information that we were able to obtain from those presentations, and we also looked at those individual funding requests and came up with what we felt was the proposed budget for this year. Now I will let Robert, our SIVC treasurer, to discuss the variance, income, and expenses that we've got for the current proposed budget. Robert?
Thank you, Safar. Good evening. I'm ASIVC Student Treasurer Robert Segura. I would like to begin with the first page, which outlines our projected sources and uses of funds. We have projected a reduction in our beginning balance. However, this figure will likely change when all income is calculated in the district accounting office. We anticipate an increase in our bookstore revenues, and our total sources of funds is projected to be around $525,000. We also anticipate an increase in our campus life expenses due to an increase in commencement costs and the implementation of our new student ambassador program. We also project some smaller changes in other expense categories and anticipate total uses of funds to be $525,000. This provides a balanced budget for this fiscal year. Next, I will describe some of our budget highlights. So first we have campus life, which is going to be around $52,000. Campus life is to give students an opportunity to experience the same things that they would at four-year universities, such as our club day, multicultural day, and our Halloween days. Next is our co-curricular programs at about $235,000. Over the course of the last several years, we've continued funding programs such as our forensics department and our athletics department. We also have $104,000 for our ASIVC operations. This goes to covering the cost of running our student government as well as maintenance and repairs. We also set aside around $30,000 for scholarships and around $51,000 for our student support programs, such as our honors program, the transfer center, and DSPS. We also set aside about $52,000 for our contingency. Next, I'll pass it off to Safar to finish it up.
All right, we have some goals and objectives for SIVC, and we hope to accomplish them for the next year. Goal number 1, we will provide ongoing education and training for SIVC student leaders to improve institutional effectiveness. Therefore, we're going to host a retreat for student government and club leaders. We already established an ambassador program to engage students in our understanding of our campus programs. Goal number 2, we will improve student activity and their involvement in campus outreach events. Therefore, we're going to host a welcome week for incoming students so they can get engaged on what's going on in our campus. We're also going to have ASIVC and Inter-Club Council members to have a joint sponsor club day in the fall and spring semester. We're also going to have club members to engage in our homecoming court for the spring semester. Finally, yet importantly, we will support a vibrant, effective student government by enhancing and teaching and learning environment and governance process. Therefore, we're going to host and hold a monthly workshop on governance and committee participation. I, along with my fellow SIVC officers, will going to assess the function of student commissioners and court justices. Thank you.
All right. I have a question from Trustee Lang.
Yes, thank you both for your presentations. Quick question. Originally, when I looked at this, I thought perhaps the reduction in your beginning fund balance and the increase in revenue might somehow be related, but it didn't sound like it from what you had described, although I think the treasurer did indicate that it was likely perhaps that beginning fund balance may come up with the final accounting. So my question then is, what do you think will drive the increase of $40,000 in that revenue from bookstore and cafeteria vending? What's your plan to make that happen?
If you don't mind, thank you, Trustee Lang. I don't know if you're aware, but last year we changed our bookstore location. We had temporary quarters over to the new bookstore, and we anticipate actually having a $40,000 increase. This year so far, we're at $35,000 above last year's budgeted plan. So we've had a tremendous increase in the bookstore revenues, and we tried to reflect that in the budget. We were conservative in the budget, but we do anticipate that $40,000 increase.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
That was my question.
That was yours as well. All right. So no other questions? Thank you very much. So we need to vote on this one. Need a motion to approve both? Yeah. All right.
Second.
And a second. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go and vote on the item. Unanimous yes with 2 trustees absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. Thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you.
All right, next we have 6.5. Do I have a motion and a second on 6.5?
Second.
I have a motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Milchker. Saddleback College Cosmetology and Cosmetician or Esthetician agreements. I said that right. Advanced Beauty College and Hair California Beauty Academy. Approving the agreement. Seeing no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes, 2 absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.6, Computer Equipment and Related Services, CDW Government, LLC. Do I have a motion? I have a motion from Trustee Lang.
Second.
Second from Trustee Milchker. A discussion question from Trustee Jemal.
Yeah, my question on this, maybe it's in here and I missed it, is the equipment in the services for the district for both colleges or both or all 3?
This is district-wide. All 3 IT organizations looked into switching the desktop computers in advance of the desktop replacement project. We decided by consensus to move from Dell to HP because we were able to get better machines at lower prices.
That works.
All right.
Okay.
Seeing no more requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. A unanimous yes vote, 2 absent, and 1 student advisory yes vote. Next, we have item 6.7, contract for software development.
Second.
I have a motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Jay. Seeing no requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 2 absent, 1 student advisory yes. 6.8, contracts with Foundation for California Community Colleges and Blackboard.
Second.
Motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Jemal. I do have one quick question. The Blackboard, is that still kind of considered the standard platform for the two-way communication?
It is still the vendor in the learning management system space with the largest market share.
Okay. All right. Seeing no more further requests, go ahead and vote on the item. All right. Unanimous yes, 2 absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.9, board policy revisions. This is for discussion and approval. So we've seen these before, dealing with cell phone, smartphone allowance.
So moved.
All right.
But I have a question.
I have a motion from Trustee Jemal, a second from Trustee Trustee Lang, and a request to speak from Trustee Jemal.
So I'm just going to ask Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons, because we had a conversation about this, just to summarize what we talked about in terms of this policy, where it is and where we're going with it in terms of the cellular, telephone, smartphone allowance.
Right. So the Employee Cellular Telephone and Smartphone Allowance Board policy is being revised basically to make the clear and distinction between the board policy and administrative regulation as per our direction and how we're supposed to do this through CCLC. The administrative reg is being also revised at the same time. Both have been reviewed and recommended through the BPARC committee simultaneously. The AR is being revised to reflect increased stipends for employees, a regular cell phone that's not a smartphone, the allowance for a stipend for authorized individuals for use of the cell phone for business is going up from $65 to $75. For the smartphone, at the time we did this policy, that was many years ago, smartphones were just coming into existence. At the time, the rate was $130 per month. It's now going to be $165. In addition, the AR does clarify for the Board of Trustees that they don't receive a stipend in addition to their regular monthly stipend that they do receive. What they do is if they have business-related phone calls, they turn in a reimbursement for those expenses on a regular basis. It clarifies what the process is, that it has to be approved by the Chancellor or designee, and that those are monitored and go through the accounting department rather than through a payroll stipend.
All right.
Thank you for the explanation.
Seeing no further requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 2 absent, 1 student advisory yes. 6.10, adopt resolution 14-17, classified employee layoff. Is there any changes or no changes? Okay. We need a motion, yeah. We need to adopt the resolution. We don't need a roll call, but we need to vote on it.
Second.
Right. Motion and a second from Trustee Lang and Trustee Milchker. Seeing no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote on it. Unanimous yes with 2 absent and 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.11, full-time faculty hiring amendment.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
from Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Jemal. No changes? All right. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 2 absent, 1 student advisory yes. 6.12, you received replacement pages, but the agreement for special services, revised fee schedule with a revision. Yeah, can we get a highlight of what's different between the replacement and the original?
Sure. The original had a price rate increase, but when reviewing the current contract, it was determined that we really needed to do a new agreement. So the replacement page is basically the new agreement with those cost increases in the agreement itself. When talking to the law firm, they hadn't had a rate increase for approximately 3 years, and we do use the public agency rates, and that is attached at the end of the agreement.
All right, we have a motion to approve and a second from Trustee Lang and Trustee Jay. Seeing no more requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 2 absent, 1 student advisor yes. 6.13, academic personnel actions.
So moved.
I have a motion from Trustee Jemal, second from Trustee Milchker.
No changes.
And no changes. Seeing no requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Trustee Milchker.
Oh, sorry.
Unanimous yes, 2 absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.14, classified personnel actions.
Move approvals.
Motion from Trustee Milchker.
Second.
Second from Trustee Jemal.
We do have some changes.
We do have some changes.
If you look on page 8 of 17 in Exhibit A, the accounting specialist and the payroll specialist actually belong in business services, not human resources, although we do like those people generally. So we need to make that change from human resources to business services. And then also the board was provided a replacement page for the senior director of college facilities as well.
Correct. Does the motion still stand with corrections?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it does.
It's in the
Yes, too.
replacement
That's good.
pages?
Yeah, the replacement page is provided for a job description.
It's the last part. All right, seeing no requests to speak, go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 2 absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. That brings us now to reports. You see we have 7.1 is a list of board requested reports. 7.2 is Saddleback College, Irvine Valley College, and Advanced Technology mission statements. Any comments or questions on those? Would you like to speak to those, Mr. Peoples?
I think there were basically no changes.
Okay. Saddleback, IBC, they're all good?
Yes.
Okay. Just giving you an opportunity to speak to all that hard work you went into making mission statements. I know how much fun they are. 7.3, Saddleback College and IVC College speakers. Monthly list. 7.4, basic aid report. I think that was covered. 7.5, facilities plan status report. No questions. 7.6, monthly financial status report. I think that was covered. 7.7, OPEB trust. We heard it was all good. So now we're on 8.0, reports from administration governing groups. Saddleback College Academic Senate. Not here. Faculty Association.
Hi, I'm pleased to be here tonight for my first meeting as the new Faculty Association president. The Faculty Association has a very busy summer this year, so no vacations for most of us. Of course, we're in full swing with negotiations. We're also working to revise our bylaws and standing rules. We're working on bringing in and orienting the many new full-time faculty that we're going to be having start in the fall, and we are gearing up for the upcoming election season. The Faculty Association would also like to offer our wishes for a speedy recovery to Trustee Padberg, and we hope to see her back here soon. Thank you.
And IVC Academic Senate, not Kathy Schmeidler
Hi, you guys
or
probably
Lam
noticed I'm
Fan.
not Kathleen Schneider, and our VP of Senate, Bob Urell, is teaching until 9 p.m. tonight, so it came to me. I'm the new IVC Senate recorder. My name is Brooke Chu, and I want to thank you guys because you approved me for tenure at the March meeting, so I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you. But Kathy did leave me with a brief report to read to you. So while faculty are, for the most part, on break, except for those who teach in summer, we nonetheless have some important ongoing projects. Our new DE coordinators are already working to continue to improve our DE instruction. There are some ongoing projects to improve our web presence, and work is continuing on the AB 86 projects for collaboration with other community colleges and high school districts to support adult education. Much of this work by our faculty members is uncompensated or minimally compensated, and thus demonstrates faculty's ongoing commitment. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Associate Vice Chancellor, Economic Development.
Thank you, and no report.
All right. Vice Chancellor, Technology and Learning Services.
No report.
Vice Chancellor, Human Resources.
We just have one report. We, on July 9th, will be attending Camp Pendleton for the regular job fair.
All right. Vice Chancellor, Business Services.
I don't think you want to hear from me anymore tonight, so no report.
All right. IVC Classified Senate.
Good evening, sir. I'm Vincent Cooper, Classified Senate President at IVC. First, I'd like to thank Vice Chancellor Deborah Fitzsimmons for setting up the Workday extravaganza on our campus. It was a great way for staff, faculty, and administrators to get an initial look at it, and it's great that she's inviting all folks to get involved and help her out in creating the software program. So that's awesome. I would also like to thank Dr. Roquemore for his support and sending myself and 5 of my senator friends to Ventura for a statewide classified Senate conference. I was able to give a seminar to about 50 folks, which was a lot of fun. It was a great learning experience for myself. But we also learned about accreditation reports, Student Success Act of 2012, and a host of other important and great information for us. So again, I'd like to thank Dr. Roquemore for his support. And this coming month later on, we're going to write up a code of ethics at our next Senate meeting. So thank you very much, and have a safe and sane 4th of July. Thank you.
All right. CSCA, no offense, but your earlier replacement was much cuter. We were really looking forward to hearing from her. What happened?
I won't even begin to try to follow up on that. I'm Scott Ferguson Green. I'm the CSCA president. Thank you, Mr. President. Just one item is the fact that we had the Classified School Employees Week at Saddleback College last month, and because our classified staff were so busy at both campuses during graduation, that this week we have designated at IVC. So we are recognizing all the classified staff at IVC this week, so they don't miss out on any of the events and some of the things that we have planned. Thank you.
All right. And last but not least, Saddleback College Classified Senate.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. Mike Sauter, Saddleback College Classified Senate President. What a night. It was a very exciting night. Congratulations once again to Brooke. We are very honored here at the college and also at home to have such a wonderful example. My colleague mentioned the Classified Leadership Institute out in Ventura. It was put on by the 4CS, which is a statewide classified Senate organization. I was lucky enough to attend and honored to represent Saddleback College and the district there as well. Vincent covered a lot of what was covered during the event, but what he didn't mention was that our very own President Todd Burnett was recognized as an outstanding leader in the state for classified issues. And he was invited out there for the Friday night dinner and the awards presentation, and I'd like to say congratulations to President Todd Burnett. It was great to have him there. And lastly, just a couple of items that are happening on campus. For the Senate, we have new officers that were elected last month, and there are actually no changes except for the members at large. So our secretary is Grizel Heredia, our treasurer, Lori Parra, and our two new member at larges are Eric Hilden and Valerie Senior. And we are planning our retreat for the executive council in July, where we're going to go over our mission and goals for the year and plan some exciting new fundraising and events that we're going to hopefully be able to pull off this year. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time. Have a good night.
All right. And with that, we will adjourn. Have a good evening.